Eagles manager Gomer Hodge loves a bet, and he reckons Newcastle is odds-on to beat Perth at Marathon this weekend.
Right now, the players believe that they can beat anybody. I mean, they're all pumped up.
Last weekend, the Eagles outplayed Premiers Brisbane, Everett Stull on fire. Newcastle picked up an ABL record of 15 strikeouts. But in the Eagles' recent clash against Perth, the shoe was on the other foot, the West Aussies dominating. Sitting on 7th on the table, Newcastle is keen for the points to keep in touch with the front-runners. The Eagles' greatest problem is the weather. Most of their home games have been drought breakers.
Every time we get ready to go to the ballpark, we get in the car and start toward the ballpark, it starts raining.
Mining companies have been test drilling the site on grazing land south of Gloucester since 1980. Only now it's become a viable proposition, and Council has granted the Stratford Coal Company a 14-year mining lease. It will create 100 jobs, with 1.8 million tonnes of coal expected to be mined each year.
We only received about 29 submissions altogether, and of that, only about 5 were real objections.
Concerns about the mine's effect on the environment and nearby residents has seen strict conditions attached to the lease. The company must monitor noise levels and has agreed to clean up any decline in water quality. The coal will be transported to Newcastle by rail, Council maintaining local roads cannot cope with the weight and number of coal trucks. The rail loop will be capable of handling the arrival of 4 trains daily. Stratford Coal will be paying an annual contribution of $56,000 to Council for mine training programs. Tracy Walsh, NBN News.
Maintenance crews were quick to inspect the aircraft once it landed at the Newcastle airport. The Impulse Airlines plane had been flying the North Coast run from Newcastle to Brisbane when 10 minutes north of the airport, warning equipment showed a problem with the right side engine.
It was worrying, and we were pretty happy to get back down on the ground.
I was watching it very closely all the way, and I can tell you. And saying a little prayer, keep going, please keep going.
The incidents come at a bad time following recent turmoil within the Civil Aviation Authority and 2 fatal crashes by regional airlines. Impulse maintains a faulty alarm triggered the emergency and its safety procedures are of the highest standard.
They did exactly what was required, which was to feather one engine. They know it, they're training, they're flying on one engine all the time.
A company jet was sent to Williamtown from Sydney to fly the passengers to their original destinations. After a thorough examination, the plane was due to continue its journey north this afternoon after the faulty alarm had been replaced. Joanne Shoebridge, NBN News.
This is the facility that has some of the most influential people in the airline industry predicting big things for the Hunter. Deputy Prime Minister Brian Howe officially opened the renovated airport, which includes $3 million in extensions and another $3 million on the upgrade of the main access route, the Nelson Bay Road.
Increased car parking that you can see out here, the a business lounge for business travellers who are the predominant travellers still these days. The place is air-conditioned, soundproofed, carpeted. There are television monitors there, baggage conveyors.
The improvements make it one of the best in the state, the only airport in New South Wales outside of Sydney that can handle jet aircraft as big as Boeing 737s. Despite this, the federal government says Newcastle won't become a supplementary service to Sydney's airport, with Badgerys Creek still the preferred option.
We're talking here about 100,000 movements a year compared to Sydney, something like 16 million. So this is a regional airport.
But it's seen as a tremendous boost for the Hunter, its two airlines having the capacity to carry nearly 5,000 passengers a week along the east coast of Australia.
It links Newcastle much more closely into the rest of Australia, particularly the major cities, the transport movements. That's got to be great for business, got to be very good in terms of tourism, it's got to be very good for people.
Richard O'Leary, NBN News.
Kids are lining up to ask Santa for the gifts they hope to find under the tree. Students from St Dominic's Centre for the Hearing Impaired made their wishes known. Some asked for the world. But as for whether they thought they would get it, with school holidays about to start, Santa is expecting a busy last-minute rush. Traffic in the Hunter was already buzzing today, but police were also on the move, hoping to reduce the very real dangers involved in taking to the roads this Christmas. The state's road toll is already at 622, up 73 on last year's figure. Hoping to stop further increases, driver revivers around the state were also beginning extended operations. With fatigue a factor in nearly 20% of accidents last year, organisers say motorists still aren't factoring in time to stop, revive and survive. Drivers are urged to take a decent break every 2 hours, and reviver stations are positioned with that aim in mind. Switching drivers at each stop is also suggested. But while the fight to save lives was on the minds of the authorities, enjoying life over the holidays was the aim of many school children who saw the last day of term as an unnecessary formality. Attendance rates were down by up to 80% at Hunter schools, including Barnsley Primary, which rang its home time siren for the last time. Students farewelled an old friend, school cleaner of 29 and a half years, Dorothy Redriff. The 425 children will begin at a new school next year. From the outset, the plan to build new chambers in Mullumbimby has lurched from controversy to controversy. First the row over location, now the question whether the Shire can afford the new facility. A report tabled by architects Gazard Sheldon has projected a cost of $7.31 million, almost $3 million up on the original forecast. The Byron Chamber of Commerce has seen red over the costing hike, saying the facility well exceeds the needs of the region.
The council's got a whole list of projects which are much more worthwhile than a new Taj Mahal.
Current plans will see a two-storey building constructed along a narrow strip on Station Street. Provision will be made for 151 staff, up 37 from the numbers originally to be catered for, and the planned size of the building has increased from 3 to 3,500 square metres. While Mayor Ian Kingston has defended the proposals as necessary to take the Shire into the next century, the Chamber of Commerce says the amount Council intends to borrow is irresponsible.
They were $2 million short in their original funding, so with the extra funding that is, or the extra costs now involved, they're going to be looking for funding to the tune of $5.5 million in loans.
The Chamber of Commerce says present facilities should be upgraded and has called for a Shire-wide referendum on the issue. The organisation has threatened to fight Council in the Land and Environment Court if its demands aren't met. Laura Saperstein, NBN News.
The state's top 30 bowlers, including Commonwealth Games gold medalist Rex Johnson, are attending this weekend's assessment. It's the first stage of a new development program designed to rejuvenate New South Wales bowling at a national level. Waratah's Australian under-25 representative Adam Gleeson is one of several younger members in the squad, which will attend several similar sessions in the build-up to representative commitments next year.
3 one-day seminars at Cabramatta, which will give them a lead up into the Australian Size Championship, and that's the one we want badly.
Meantime, the 7th round of the Toohey Summer Sevens was played at Austral Park last night. Highfields recorded one of the bigger wins of the night with a 7-0 victory over Wallsend. But most interest came in the later games, with Adamstown defeating the Eagles 3-0 and Edgeworth upsetting Toronto 5-0. The wins have allowed Edgeworth and Adamstown to move past Toronto at the top of the table. My Diamond Rouge, ridden by Brown, appeared to clip the heels of the horse in front approaching the turn and fell. Brown rolled underneath My Diamond Rouge and several horses galloped over the apprentice. He was taken to hospital for preliminary x-rays after complaining about back pain. It was part of an action-packed Villiers, several in contention over the concluding stages. Auntie Mary, trained by Alex Aquilina, got the money. His only training success before today had been with greyhounds. It returned 27.40 and 6.60, with Nick's Joy and cohort filling the minors. To race 7, the Harn Ice handicap over 2,000 metres. Ken's Partner, ridden by Craig Carmody, paid 11 even and 3.20. El Castano was second and Nias third. The night began poorly for the Eagles, but brilliantly for an outfielder on the hill who intercepted this Perth home run and celebrated like Fatty Vorton. Shortly afterwards, Perth took exception to this wayward pitch from the Eagles' Neil Webber. Both benches cleared, with plenty of words exchanged before the match resumed. But it wasn't long before both sides were back on their feet again after an incident on second base. Amid lingering tension, the doubleheader continued, Perth dominating both games. Meantime, Central Coast driver Mick Turner won the Hunter Valley Modified Rod Championship at the Newcastle Motordrome last night. The event developed into a four-way battle, with Graham Edmund, Rod Fraser and Ray Tyler also in contention, but Turner proved too strong in the final. The Motordrome will now host the first Super Sedan test between Australia and the United States on Boxing Day.
While shop prices for prawns in Sydney have risen to around $35 a kilo, the local product can still be bought for about $27. The drought has played havoc with stocks. Ocean stocks are low because nursery prawns haven't been flushed from the estuaries. It was only last week that trawlers began working 5 days in the Hunter River. Numbers were so low, operators had been restricted to just 2 days for more than a month.
Prawns at the moment are sort of are reasonably scarce compared to last year's season. It's not very good at all.
There's been a constant stream of buyers. Seafood lovers consume 25% of the annual prawn catch during December and 10% in the week before Christmas.
Seafood seems to be just as popular as the last few years, yes.
from the boat.
A stiff onshore breeze created some choppy conditions for today's carnival, causing problems particularly for craft events. It didn't concern Coogin Headland's Murray Cox, who won the Ironman event. Cox is just returning from injury and had a good hit out as he was pushed all the way by Byron Bay's Brad Rogers, with Lennox Head's Luke Caldwell third. The locals made it a double in the endurance event, with Cheryl Peat taking out the Diamond Lady. Byron Bay's Noel Baggerley broke Coogin Headland's domination, winning the men's open ski race, while Byron was also victorious in the men's ski relay. The open beach relay was won by the host club, while Yamba proved too strong in the under-16 event. As part of a new initiative in the sport, Carnival sponsors Better Electrical presented Junior Encouragement Awards to Clarissa Raywood and Aaron Jones for their efforts in previous carnivals this season.
The female, thought to weigh between 150 and 170 kilograms, is swimming actively, and staff say it's recovering well from an operation yesterday to remove an 18-centimetre hook from the animal's windpipe. Ocean World staff estimate the turtle's age between 80 and 90 years. They say it's in excellent condition because everyone concerned in the rescue of the turtle acted quickly. It will take at least 10 days for the 10-centimetre tear in its throat to heal. The turtle will be released early next month near the Port Stephens Heads, where it was first hooked. Joanne Shoebridge, NBN News.
Perfect weather helped draw the crowds to Spears Point this year on land and lake. By nightfall, they transformed the park into a sea of light. The host, Jeff J, NBN's Melinda Smith and friends helped kick along the singing. Artists like Genevieve Davis added to the evening's glitter. Even Santa took time out from his busy schedule to join 40,000 of his fans, young and old, for a carol or two.
Last season, internal management clashes led to a lack of players in most clubs, and Group 3 had difficulty finding 5 first-grade teams. The decision was made to merge the 3 Sunday and 8 Saturday clubs in one Group 3 competition. 3 other clubs recently applied to join the ranks, but were knocked back. Last night, the Group Management Committee and delegates from the 11 clubs voted against admitting Taree Old Bar, Taree United and Pacific Palms teams to the competition.
Group 3 management has had to do a lot of research into the 3 new clubs to see if they would have any adverse effect on the existing clubs. That was carried out.
The clubs have not been given a reason for the decision, but Group 3 Secretary Barry Smith says they'll be notified in writing.
It's very disappointing for us because we've worked hard over the last 3 to 4 months and chasing players up, and hasn't been easy.
The Taree Old Bar Secretary denies speculation that the club has insufficient players for first grade, reserves and under-18 matches. While the 11 clubs that played this year have not been required to supply the names of players for next season, Taree Old Bar has. Mal Drury says he hopes his club's players won't have to go elsewhere or rely on filling in when a team is short to have a game next season. He'll be appealing to Country Rugby League to overturn the decision. Tracy Walsh, NBN News.
"18-month-old Dylan Brocklesbury may have to spend Christmas in hospital. The youngster was burnt after his father left a cup of tea on a kitchen bench.
It was a split second. I know we've probably left the coffee cups there before and he's never touched them, and it was just one of those things, and he was very quick.
It is a shocking thing to happen to your child. The child will have pain and suffering, may need to have a graft which will lead to permanent scarring. The families will feel miserable, upset and guilty.
Dylan has since had skin grafts to his chest and has been on morphine to try and ease the pain. But his situation isn't unique. Nearly 90 toddlers have been burnt in Newcastle in the past year. His mother has appealed to other parents to be more aware of the dangers around the home.
No cup of tea or coffee is more important than your children's safety, and leaving it till they've gone to bed. And kids and kitchens don't match, keep them as much out of the kitchen as you possibly can.
Parents are urged to keep hot drinks, kettles and pots of boiling water well clear of children, especially those under 5, who account for nearly 3/4 of burn victims. If a child is scalded, remove their clothes, submerge the skin in cold water, keep the child warm and seek urgent medical advice. Never use oils or ice on burns. Richard O'Leary, NBN News.
Stacey and Beau Emerton often train and surf together at Tuncurry Beach. At 19, Beau has already tasted success, winning the Australian as well as the World Junior Board titles 2 years ago. He's just returned from competing on the pro circuit and has been giving advice to his younger sister about the World Junior titles she'll be contesting next year.
He's helped me a lot, taking me surfing all the time, and he got me out there when I started on a surfboard.
16-year-old Stacey qualified for the titles after winning the under-18 women's title at the piping hot Australian Junior Surf Championship last weekend. She's now fundraising to help buy her ticket to Bali, where she'll take on the world in June.
I'm just aiming to go good in the world titles and to do a few comps next year on the ACC tour.
Stacey confesses she's not interested in school study. Her ambitions lie in reaching the Pro Tour and a high ranking among the world's top female surfers. Tracy Walsh, NBN News. The streets of Taree are filled with frantic shoppers buying last-minute items for Christmas. Greater Taree City Councillor Jenny Wallace says shopping wisely can mean a positive step towards saving the environment. She says there are a number of ways consumers can have a green Christmas, and it starts with plastic shopping bags.
Take your own fabric bag, whatever bag you've got, and fill it up from there instead of taking those plastic bags.
With recycling in mind, Ms Wallace recommends looking for soft drink bottles labelled recyclable or with rocket bottoms.
We do consume a lot of drink at this time, whether it be cordial or alcohol. Buy those products that, once again, you can recycle.
The councillor says when it comes to buying presents, it's wise to buy products with minimal packaging to save resources. And on Christmas Day, don't be in a hurry to throw away wrapping paper.
Take your paper, fold it back up, you've got it for reuse again next year, and you're saving yourself a little bit of money as well by doing things carefully and with the thought of the environment as you go.
Tracy Walsh, NBN News.
The cave south of the suburb Caves Beach was roped off by police shortly after 2:30. However, it wasn't until around an hour ago, after the water level had subsided, that police were able to enter the cavern.
We had some information from a person walking along the rocks here about a smell coming out of a cave. We've sent a couple of police in there at the moment. We're very restricted in time. It's nearly low tide, and the tide will of course start to change.
A short time ago, police using rakes and shovels had found nothing which would help them in their investigation. However, the site isn't being discounted yet. During the last month, around a dozen areas of bush around Lake Macquarie and Newcastle have been searched. Police want to be positive the caves aren't connected with Gordana's disappearance. It's believed the 16-year-old from Cardiff was abducted a month ago as she walked from Charlestown Square to her auntie's place a short distance away. A 16-member task force has been investigating her disappearance. However, today, with no new leads, it was officially wound down.
We're still investigating, still following up on information. We have reduced the number of detectives now that are continually engaged in this inquiry, but nonetheless the investigation is still a complete one so far as we're concerned.
During the last few years, there have been many exchanges between Newcastle and the Japanese sister city of Ubei, but never before has it been done via a television hookup. In the NBN studios, Lord Mayor John McNaughton personally sent his Christmas greetings to community leaders in Ubei. While Christmas in Japan does not have the religious significance it does in the Western world, it's still commercially important. The hookup also signalled the start of a 3-day multimedia event in Ubei. Also participating were many of those who have made friends through past sister city exchanges.
You've got to recognise now that we have several thousand Novocastrians have visited Ubei and vice versa, with all these cultural exchanges and school visits and so on, so that there's a vast number of people from Newcastle who have friends in Ubei.
Operation Safe Arrival started in the first minute of Friday. Every possible highway patrol car is on the road, but there's only so much the police can do. Nearly 300 people have ignored the extra police presence and warnings to slow down. The highest speed in the Upper Hunter was recorded at Scone, where a P-plater was caught travelling at 148 kilometres an hour, nearly 70 kilometres an hour above the provisional limit. The crackdown continues on drink drivers, with nearly 1,400 drivers tested, 4 people over the limit. An unaccompanied L-plater recorded a blood alcohol level more than 12 times the legal limit for a learner. Police say drivers have to be more responsible on our roads.
I think the main thing is just to make sure that they just flow with the traffic. Don't be in a hurry, have a little bit of patience. If it starts to rain, the roads will get slippery and they can slow down a little bit.
Drivers are also encouraged to take regular breaks, including the use of driver reviver stops along main roads. Richard O'Leary, NBN News. Neighbour sailing Newcastle, Australia has reached Bass Strait and will have to keep watch for the 370-strong Sydney to Hobart yacht race fleet bearing down on him. The yacht has a damaged mainsail which is slowing progress into the 20-knot headwinds. In a phone call to NBN today, Neighbour said he was in high spirits after riding out storms in the Indian and Southern Oceans. And while he didn't see any floating ice, was amazed at the sight of snow on the decks of his yacht. After spending Christmas on the boat, Neighbour is keen to be reunited with his family and hopes to reach Sydney, finishing the second leg of the race on Thursday. He's likely to be the 8th boat home overall and is currently running 3rd in his class.